Wipe the crust out my eyes. See who's this page of me and why. Hey, welcome to PORB, your favorite podcast. I don't think that people, like the priorities of people are really skewed. I saw that there's I saw it a few days ago, that there's a petition signed by like 2 million people to have the last season of Game of Thrones written by decent writers, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, the season sucked. Oh well, it's fine. 10 hours or whatever of your life invested in these fictional characters in a fictional place in a fictional time just didn't end well. You had however many other seasons, 7 other seasons that were great, 6.5 that were great, and 1.5 that was good, and then 1 that was really bad. But like I would bet that a lot of those people have never signed a petition to, get clean water to Flint, or, free the imprisoned children our government has kept in the border in cages, and then hold those people responsible, or, signed a petition to reverse this ban on abortion in Alabama and a couple other states now. It's just weird how much time and energy people invest into that bullshit. Like, there are actual tyrants doing actual horrible things to actual people, and you could potentially help them with, voting and petitions, and nope, just Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones. I saw John Wick 3 last night with my mom. She's going to be working on the new Bill and Ted's. So she's been meeting with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters and the director. I can't remember his name right now. Super excited about it. I was super excited. She called a couple weeks ago and was like, Graham, are you sitting? I was like, all right, come on, just whatever. She was going to do Bill and Ted. I fucking had to sit down. This shit was amazing. So anyway, we saw John Wick 3 last night. And obviously it's fantastic. Those movies are so good, so fun. And it is that. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I won't spoil anything, but you should see it. It's wonderful. You do start feeling a bit fatigued towards the middle. And I couldn't tell if it was the movie sagging a bit, or if it's just, it's redlining basically the whole time. So it's easy to get a little fatigued, but then it kind of comes out of it, or you come out of it, probably a little of both. And it's awesome. I think part of the genius of that movie, or those movies, is that, it's the world you love, but the way they created the world was amazing, because they didn't, so they make their world based on vibe and mood, and they give very vague kind of descriptions of the reality, so that way they can make it up as they go, and you'll accept it, you'll buy it. So they never have to break their own rules. And because some of it is kind of wacky and out there and some of it isn't, you would accept anything. Like if this but the next one, because they're going to do 4, if there's like magic or whatever, you'd buy it. You'd be like, cool, great, on board, as long as they kept it in the vibe of what they're doing, which is fucking brilliant. A lot of times, Game of Thrones is a great example where, they established all these rules and expectations, and then this last season, they just said, fuck it, who cares? And they just did whatever they want, and it didn't work. Plus, it was just bad writing, even if they did follow the rules. But when John Wick, it's not like that at all. They can kind of do anything they want, making up things as they go, adding this, adding that, and because there's so much mystery behind it, you'll accept everything. It's amazing, so good. But the action's great. Obviously, it's brutal and fun, and there's great humor. And Mark Dacascos is fantastic in it. He's so fun and silly and weird. Everybody's great. Those movies are fantastic. Speaking of being a theater, I would like you all, there'll be a link in the description below. Please sign my petition to ban food in movie theaters. That'd be great. Thank you. If we can get 2 million signatures, I think we can really make this happen, guys. I hate eating in theaters. I don't personally care like if I'm eating or not, but the smells and the sounds, people chewing that, and then the crunching or opening bags, and then just smells of popcorn, smells of hot dogs, smells of candy. It's just everywhere. Plus people's smell and people, breathing or whatever. You can't sit for 2 hours without stuff in your face. You got to eat all the time. I'm not saying if you're hungry and you hadn't eaten, and I get it, but just eat before or eat after. The sounds and smells have to go. It's awful. But anyway, that's a good movie. You should watch it. Other than that, I don't know what's going on. I'm working on some cool things for work. I think I talked about it on the last podcast a little bit, but my job is more about helping people improve their lives and less about just looking good naked. I mean, that's a part of it, and that can help improve your life. But anyway, I'm working more with that. Meeting with some people next week and trying to set up some things I like helping people, so I'm excited to do that. I'm in the process of trying to figure out what to do for an album cover, which I had one, but it was If you're creating anything, you should try every idea. This is something I learned, in my teens, being in bands where, normally, especially when you're younger, you're really married to your ideas. So if somebody in a band, for example, suggests a different idea or a different approach, you'll usually be combative and be like, no, because I want it to be mine, because it's more about you and less about the band or even about the song or whatever. But going through that process, the guys I grew up with, their dad was a real big part of my life. He was like my dad. Not like my dad, but he was like a father to me. And he would say things like that. He'd be like, just try it. You don't lose anything by trying the idea. Just give it a shot. Don't just say no because you don't want to do it. So you don't take the advice for a while, and eventually you do. And then that started to happen. We would just try an idea. Somebody would say something, yeah, sure. And I carried that into everything else I do. So as a martial artist, I would just try. And as a teacher, if somebody suggested something or asked a question, instead of kind of justifying or picking my answer to validate my point or solidify my position, I would just say, well, let's see what happens. Give it a shot. Let's try. And be open to something else being better. Very important. Because we all are being taught by other people, we're all kind of susceptible to people's bias and is what they're telling me or is what I'm experiencing with a person or in a teaching and learning environment, is this the best way? Or is the person I'm listening to or following, or am I only giving the points of view to establish that I know what I'm talking about? And so I'm closed off to other, to acknowledge other points of view or to acknowledge other paths or mindsets, or if I'm wrong, is too scary, because then I have to admit that I made a mistake or that I'm bad, and a lot of people can't handle that, so the course of action that you end up following or that you give out can very easily be cut with your own insecurity, your own bias, and then you can end up doing a disservice to other people, yourself, or if you're the student in that scenario, have just bad information just because of your teacher or your environment isn't willing to be open to there's a better way. And there's always a better way, or at least incorporating other methods to make your way better. So, when when I first started teaching martial arts, within the first few years, and I started to get kind of good at it, and people were really responding well, I would, can you see my feet? Is that gross? Seems gross. I should have worn socks or something like that. But people would comment, because there was another black belt who was also teaching a lot of the classes. Not a lot, but some. And very good martial artist, but the classes he was teaching were a little different. People would kind of ask me about it, talk to me about it. And what I realized then was, like, with him, with me, I wanted my students to be right. So I want them to have the information, and I want them to be right. So whatever I need to do to make that possible, that's my goal. And this other teacher wanted you to know that he was right. He needed that from you. He needed that validation that he was the guy. And I've seen that a lot, especially in martial arts. So in teaching, we often kind of fall victim to that, where it's like we're not having we don't have the information of, we don't have the perspective of making the students or the information or the lesson the biggest part. It's more about ourselves, and that's true. People can't, even now, a lot of people can't acknowledge that Trump is a monster because they supported him previously, and then now to acknowledge it now would mean that they made a mistake, and their feeling is that they're inherently bad, and then that's too big and too scary, so they just don't do it. Well, that happens in teaching a lot. I said all of that to say that as far as my album cover is concerned, I'll just try every idea, even if I think like, this will be shitty, because that might lead me to somewhere else, or at least I can rule that thing out. Like, okay, well, I tried that and I don't like it. Seeing what you don't like can be as important, and sometimes even more important, than seeing what you do like. Because one, you're stepping outside of your echo chamber, so you're not only getting one side of information, you're exposing yourself to many possibilities. And that's true if you're doing this by yourself or with multiple people or whatever creative endeavor or anything. So you just try every idea. And if it doesn't work, you go, okay, it doesn't work. If you have the ability to try. So for me, I tried this idea. It's not good. Someone try something else and try a few and kind of figure it out, which is fun. So any kind of process you're doing, you should practice and strive to just try a lot, make all the mistakes you can, and that will inform your good decisions eventually. Really important. So the album's basically done. I'm still tweaking a little bit, which is going to stop soon. I have like 3 songs to redo the vocals on, and I think that's it. I wasn't planning on doing like singles or anything like that, but I think I am going to. I'm going to do 2 singles leading up to putting the album out, because, I don't have an audience for this band. I've never played live, so there's nobody who knows what this is other than, I have a handful of people on my Instagram or that know me personally. So I'm going to release a single and then another one following. So trying to figure out and pick what those 2 are. The album is kind of, it's consistent in it feels like one album, but it's not all one genre, I guess, which is not intentional. That's just how I write. So it all sounds like it's one thing, but to release one single, somebody could have a view of the album, and then when they get it, there's going to be a lot that's not like that. So I kind of want to pick 2 that is more or less a kind of a broad cross section of what it sounds like. And I hope it turns people on. I hope it's something people enjoy. I like it. I've listened to it so much, so it's difficult for me to have a lot of realistic opinions about it, because I've heard it so much. But I think it's cool. I think, and I'm really excited to do more and it's just nice to be able to make music again. The last record I put out was 10 years ago. 11 years ago, Jesus. Gooby Goo and Peakers you can get that on iTunes. It's a cool indie rock record. And then, that band, like we toured and we were going to keep going, but right after we got back from tour, my singer, her other band that she had, the drummer passed away suddenly. And that, intense kind of traumatic situation for her. And I got married. It was a terrible marriage. And while I was married, like my then wife I basically had to stop making music, or else I had to constantly fight about it, and made to feel bad about having time to myself that wasn't about her. So I just stopped. It just went away. And then my singer got married. So, pardon me. So yeah, it just stopped. And then, we lost momentum and steam, and it just, went away. It was, but it's a cool album. We talk about it every once in a while, like maybe putting something out or playing some shows again. And we might. It would be fun. She's a great musician. She's got another band now, Cannibal Valley. I think she's about ready to put out a record too. I'm drinking coffee, so when there's long pauses, and I hope the sound of my drinking isn't too obnoxious, but whatever. So yeah, music stuff I'm excited about. What's been fun is that, like, I'm not a very good sound recording engineer. I'm okay. I kind of know what I'm doing. That's not true. I don't know what I'm doing, but I can kind of fake it. It's like the way I play keyboards. I understand. I know what the notes are. I get how it works. But I haven't, invested, a lot of serious time to be great. And, well, I guess that's just it. So I can kind of fumble through it. So it's been a big learning process on how to get the record sounding good and how I like. And I think it sounds good. There are things that will be better for the next one because I've learned a lot, but it sounds good. It sounds like a record. And I'm so critical and judgmental of what I do. So even though it sounds good, I'll pick shit apart about it. And it's weird. When I started in therapy, I don't know if I've said this before in the podcast. When I started in therapy, I remember my therapist asking at some point early on, like, if I felt that I was very critical with myself, or if my internal voice was harsh. And I was like, no. Because I truly didn't think that it was. I didn't think I was like that. But then, in more talking with her and her just kind of reflecting back things that I say, or when I would say how I was feeling or what I thought about something, and she would kind of like show that back to me as like, hey, do you hate yourself or something? Like, and it turned out I'm super harsh and really critical with myself with everything I do. So that's been a interesting process going through this record, and hearing that voice and kind of working through it. So this record has been interesting in a lot of ways. Like, one, it's kind of a culmination of 10 years of not making music and then trying to figure out how to get back into it. I'm doing everything on the record. Singing as well, which is new for me. I sing in bands and stuff, but like lead vocals on a record I've never done. And like more than like a song or two. But so the writing lyrics and all that stuff, but also just working through what my process is and how I do it has been very interesting. So this record is special to me in that way, in that it is so many things. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to putting it out. I don't know. I'm really all over the place today. I think I always am. People say that about me. Yeah. I think when you just talk, you just kind of ramble all over, which I like. I enjoy that because most of my life, I never said anything to anyone about anything ever. I would talk about stuff or be passionate about stuff and things. But, yeah, just being able to speak, it's not something I used to do outside of like work environments or something like that. I don't know. What else? Everybody's telling me to watch Killing Eve. Like a dozen people. So I might. Do you guys ever feel like the urge not to do it when so many people tell you to do it? I guess that's common. But that's how I'm feeling about it. Like, ugh, I don't want to do it. But everybody says it's good. Even my mom told me last night. So I might watch that. Yeah. My dog's good. Lumpia, where you at? Just sleeping. Because she's a husky pit. It's getting warmer out, so she's shedding her undercoat, her winter coat. So it is just mountains of hair. I'll sweep every day. And, I mean, like a ball. Like just a mountain of hair. It's intense. So I groom her every day, too. I take her outside and I brush her. I have these gloves. I think I should get them. Let me show you. Because they're cool if you have a dog or a cat. So normally, a grooming brush is fine. And some animals like it, some don't. But it's really kind of impersonal. And sometimes animals don't like it because it feels awkward. But I got these gloves, and I'll look up the company. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. I just like them. So they're it's like a kind of a heavy cloth on the top, and then the hand portion, the palm portion, and a little bit over the fingers is this kind of like plastic PVC. It's soft, and then on the palms and on the fingers there are like spikes and bumps. So it like what is that called? There's a word for that type of thing. It's like you get those shoes that have the bumps on them, so they hit all like points in your feet. And well, anyway, it's like that. So they're massaging, and it's like a brush. It has, bristles in a sense, and it's scraping off or not scraping off, it's getting the hair out. And you'll get like just mats and mats of hair on these things. But it's nice because you're also petting your dog or your cat, so they feel that connection with you, and it's fun. And you can touch them when you're brushing them, it's so sterile. It's weird. And they usually don't want to stay or whatever. Even if they like it, eventually they'll get bored. So these ones are really cool. And they're kind of fitted. And there's a little Velcro strapper on the wrist so they stay on. And yeah, this is what I use to, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see them. And you should watch on YouTube. And while you're there, you should hit that subscribe button and then the bell for the notifications and make it a fucking party. So anyway, yeah, these are great gloves. I highly recommend them. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I'll put the link in the description if I remember, which I hope I do. I'm going to leave these right here so I do. Brain power. But yeah, they're great. So I highly recommend them. And you should be grooming your pets every day, every other day, at least once a week. One, it's great. It's healthy for them, their coat and their skin. But it's great bonding. It forces you to. A lot of people don't pet their pets. They're just there. So it'll give you time to just sit for 20 minutes and just pet your animal, talk to them, and pet them, and just be with them. It's awesome. So I highly recommend those gloves. You should get them. Everybody should get them. I wonder if I can get like a. I don't know. How can I make money off of that? How about this? If you guys buy those gloves, just send me $5. It's a good idea. Sorry for the swallowing sounds. I don't know what else to do today. I'm going to pick up my son in a bit. And I don't know, we usually just come home. He'll take his nap, hopefully, fingers crossed. One thing so with his nap, when I pick him up from school, because he does half days, He's in preschool. So when all the other kids go down for their nap after lunch, that's when I pick him up. And usually, like when we get home, he'll fall asleep in the car. And then when I bring him in, he'll wake up as I'm taking him out of his car seat and stuff like that. And then he won't want to go back down. But what has really worked, if you're a parent and you struggle with this, is when I pick him up and we get in the car, or even like as we're walking out of the school, I just tell him like, okay, we're going to go home and take a nap, okay? And he'll be like, okay, cool. Now, I talked about it last week where you give them the choice and you make them a part of the decision, and they're much more likely to be on board with whatever it is. So when I pick him up, I ask him how his day and what he did and blah, blah, blah. When we get through all that, I'll be like, okay, let's go home and take a nap. And it's fun. And he's like, okay. And then if he falls asleep in the car, when I wake him up, he knows already, okay, we're home. We're going to take our nap, okay? He's like, okay. But if he stays awake the whole time and we pull in the driveway, I tell him, okay, let's go take our nap. Okay, we get in, we take our shoes off, or we take our shoes off and we come in. And it's the same routine, let's go wash our hands. We wash our hands and our face. He always goes, okay, Daddy, I'm going to wash my hands. You have to wash yours in the kitchen. So he'll go in the restroom and wash his hands, and he'll do it. He likes to, have that independence. It's awesome. So anyway, and then we'll change out of his school clothes, and he'll go down and take a nap. And it's been much more effective and consistent making him a part of that decision. I know it might seem obvious to hear it, but that is not your instinct as a parent it's tough to go, okay, so when they're infants, you do everything for them, you make all their decisions, they have no real say, they can't talk, when they're really young, they can't do anything, they're just mush, they can't hold their head up, they can't do a fucking thing. So then they get a little older, but you're kind of like still stuck for a bit in where they were instead of where they are. So then you have to snap out of it and like, oh, okay, they're growing, they're progressing. So then you kind of adjust the level of things, and then the process keeps happening. But there's a part of you that always wants to just make those decisions or do. So it is a very active process for me of like, I mean, he's like he is my best friend. So it's not that hard for me anymore. But in speaking with other parents, like you need to make it an active process of like including this person in their life. It's not just you telling them what to do all the time. When I work with kids, the teenagers, especially at like the rehab facilities and things like that, and I remember being a teenager too, and I didn't quite have this experience because I didn't really have like parenting. Not really, at least. But, when you're a teenager, especially a kid, your entire childhood, people telling you what to do, where to go, what to wear, you don't have a lot of say. And that is really demoralizing, especially if you don't like things, but you have to do them. And nobody's kind of helping you be a part of those processes and those decisions. So I know that. I know what it's like. And I see it still. I'm reminded of it as I work with these kids, these teenagers, in that's how they feel, is that they have no say in anything they do. They have to do this. They're just being constantly thrown into things, and that is a horrible feeling. It makes you feel like you don't matter. It makes you feel like people don't care about you. Your voice doesn't matter. It carries no weight. You have no autonomy and agency. So, my son is 4, and I've always made it a point to include him in things. Again, like I said last week, he doesn't have a say in whether or not he's going to brush his teeth or take a nap or go to bed. Well, sometimes if he doesn't want to take a nap, he doesn't have to take a nap. But you know what I mean? Like, he has rules and structure, and I'm always in charge of his health and safety, and that's paramount to anything else. But as for whatever area he can have a say, he has a say. I try not to ask him too much, like maybe once a week, like on Fridays, I'll usually go like, what do you want for dinner? Because he doesn't need to be making all those decisions. He doesn't need that pressure. And he needs to know that there's a leader. He can be a kid and just play, and he doesn't have to do shit. But, I do include him on some of those things. Again, I'll give him choices like, do you want fish and rice and beans, or do you want whatever. You want me to make a hamburger or something like that. So, he can still make decisions. So the stuff with the napping, it helps with that. It helps with that feeling of control for him and for any kid. So if you have kids or you're considering having kids, start thinking about, including them and stuff. Even with little things like when I'm making coffee and stuff, he wants to help. So instead of being like, no, you can't help because it'll slow me down or whatever. Okay. So I do coffee beans. So I'll take the grinder, I'll put it on the floor because, the counter's way too high for him. So I'll bring it on the floor and I'll take the container of coffee beans and I'll tell him, okay, we need 5 scoops. And then, so now it's an opportunity to count. It's an opportunity for him to practice scooping beans in a spoon, which is challenging. So then he'll do it, 1, and we'll count to 5. You guys know how to count. And then he'll close the container, which has one of those clasp things. So he gets to be a part of that process. Sometimes he'll hold the button down to grind the beans. And it's exciting for him. He's a part of so much. But that is a conscious decision. I always remind myself to not exclude him from things so it's easier for me. That he deserves that to be included. He deserves to learn and to fail and make mistakes. And when he spills the beans, I don't get mad. It's just like, okay, now we got to clean them up. So there's never any and he'll make, he'll spill stuff. I don't get mad but it's always just like, okay, let's clean it up. Or he dropped blueberries the other day, like on the rug in the living room, and he didn't pick it up, and then I stepped on it, and I was like, hey, what's this? Did you drop blueberries? Yes, Daddy. Okay, well, when you do that, you can tell me, and then I'll help you clean it up. Okay, Daddy. And then so we get napkins, we clean it up. And it was great. So everything is just an opportunity for teaching and learning and stuff. It's really important. I don't know how I got on this. Naps. That's how I help him. It's been very helpful with naps to include him in that process. Like, okay, we're going to take a nap. Okay. So if you do have kids and you struggle with that stuff, or you find that you're constantly angry and yelling, or it's tense, or they are very rebellious back with simple things, like, just try including them on stuff. It really does make a big difference, and it's fun, and you shouldn't be angry all the time. That anger is coming from somewhere else. It's not even from your kid. That's about some other shit. So I highly recommend that. Include your kids in your decision making and in their decision making. It's awesome, and it's fun, and you get to hear funny things and experience funny stuff. It's cool. It's weird that being a parent is being a teacher. You're teaching them, but we don't oftentimes consider that. So people make no effort to be better teachers. They just kind of, I don't know. It sucks. Kids deserve more. They deserve better. Yeah. Children are the future. Let them lead the way. You can expect that's what my album's going to sound like. Just like that. Me kind of humming and singing Michael Jackson songs. Right? That's what people like. That's a bop or something, whatever the kids are saying. I don't know what else is going on. Oh, I played I think in my first podcast, I was talking about E3, and at that time they had announced Rage 2. I'd never played Rage 1. I played Rage 2 recently, and I don't really care about first-person shooters that much, but I just decided to give it a shot. And it is aggressively mediocre. Even the character design is dumb and bad, and everything. I was skipping cutscenes within the first 5 minutes. That's how uninterested and bored I was right away. And then the gameplay was nothing exciting, and it was bad. I deleted it from my hard drive within 20 minutes. So between installation, playtime, and deletion, it was 20 to 25 minutes. It was really bad. Did not like it at all. I didn't even think it looked very good. Yeah, really not a fan. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna get more coffee. Oh, I wanted to thank. I recently got some messages from people saying how much they like the podcast, and I just want to say thank you. I mean, I responded to you, the people who messaged me, but I won't like call you out on here. But I just want to say thank you guys. It really meant a lot to know that not only you enjoy it, but some of you were saying that me sharing the things I'm sharing is really helping you, and some of you are feeling inspired to do more, try more, to get into therapy and things like that. So I just thank you. I'm really glad that it's helping and that you enjoy it. And yeah, just keep doing that. If you're considering getting into therapy, just get into therapy. Again, just try it. Just try it. The worst that happens is that you go like, I don't like it. However, I will say with therapy, if you didn't like your experience, or if you've done it before and you didn't like it, or you're about to do it, or you just did it and you didn't like it, try a different therapist. They're not all the same. They're really not. I mean, they're people. So it doesn't matter, like even if they went to the same school, they can be very different therapists, and not everybody's going to connect the same way with you. And you need to have a connection with that person, that doctor, if they're not a doctor, that therapist. It's a really intense relationship. I mean, they're not your friend, you're their patient or client. But you need to feel comfortable and safe, and their energy needs to match with or complement your energy, and vice versa. You guys, it's a relationship. So you're both involved. It's not just you pay them and then they give you this service. It's different. It's different. So for the couple people who said that they were considering it, just do it. Just go for it. I mean, I said the same thing when I messaged you back, but you should. If you're still on the fence, just give it a shot. I think most people that will say that they don't want to, or don't need to, or don't have time, or can't afford it, most of the time that's like a fear talking. It is scary to think about getting into therapy. I think the stigma behind it is that if you're in therapy, you're broken, or you're bad, or you're weak, or you're crazy. None of that's true. Therapy is just talking. You just happen to be speaking with somebody who's a professional, who has done extensive research and study on emotions and the brain and psychology and communication methods. So you're speaking with somebody who isn't just like a regular person. It doesn't mean regular people can't have great advice and everything like that. It's different. They're a professional. So you're seeking the help of a professional. And everybody, if you're going through a bad breakup, or you have depression, stress, anxiety, you just feel uninspired, or you're bored with everything, or whatever, you feel stuck, that's not, most of the time, that is not an outside issue. That's coming from within. And really, in my experience, the best way, and really kind of easiest, I know it's not easy to, is just to talk. And who better to speak with than somebody who is, one, unbiased. They don't have any stake or agenda in your life. Again, if it's a good therapist, and they can't have a weird God complex or something like that. So they're unbiased. They have your best interest in mind because they actually want to help you. And 3 is that they're qualified. So if you're just go. If you've never done it, give it a shot. You might like it. It might be awesome. And if you don't, try, a different therapist. Give it a shot. It's a really kind of amazing thing. It's not the only thing. The other thing you should try is and do is practice some healthy nutrition. So easy steps would be to just drink water a lot. A glass every hour is a good way to start. So a glass within 30 minutes of waking up, a glass more or less every hour, a glass being like 8 ounces, let's say, and then 30 minutes before bed. So if you're doing that, you're going to get at least a gallon a day, and you'll be in great shape as far as water is concerned. That'll also help with sleep. If you struggle with sleep, always had insomnia. Water is a big helpful factor in that, as is therapy. But then exercise. So healthy nutrition. So you can start with water, and then just try to start cutting out added sugars, white sugar. Just those 2 steps are a good. That's where I tell everybody to start with. Don't go like, well, I need to be a fucking no carb, it shouldn't be so crazy, and it shouldn't be so restrictive, and it shouldn't be so daunting. Just start with little steps. Water. And if you can't do every hour right now, just start within 30 minutes of waking up and within 30 minutes of going to bed. And then just keep a water bottle and just try to finish it throughout the day if you don't drink any water. Coffee is not the same. Soda is not the same. Water. Your body processes it differently. So water. And then cutting out sugars as much as you can. And then, if you don't eat any vegetables, just, start doing some vegetables. And that's an easy place to start. Then you can add on to that later and refine it as you go. And then other than that would be like a daily exercise routine. Something very simple is just like a 20-minute workout. So for example, you could set a timer for 20 minutes and do, pick 5 exercises. Let's say you do jumping jacks, squats, push-ups, dips, and let's say toe touches or crunches or in-outs or something like that, some kind of abdominal specific exercise. So you do, let's say, 5 reps of each for 20 minutes. Just keep going through it. 5 reps of those 5 exercises for as many times as it takes in 20 minutes. Doesn't matter if you slow down or you speed up or you take a break. That's a great way to do it. Or, you can do it for sets and reps. Let's say you do 5 is an easy number to go through. So let's say you pick those same 5 exercises and let's say you go, 25 jumping jacks, 20 squats, 15, lunges, alternating lunges. No, let's do it like that. Let's go 25 jumping jacks, 20 squats, 15 whatever crunch movement like in-outs or toe touches, 10 mountain climbers, and then 5 push-ups. And you do that 5 times. So you can have a daily, and that's a full body workout. It could be anything, but if you don't know where to start, that's a really good place to start. It's simple. It'll take 20 minutes, maybe. You don't need hours for your workouts. You just need, 20 to 30 minutes of focused, consistent effort. And not only will you, if your goal is to lose weight, you'll lose weight, you'll build muscle, but your body will be healthier and stronger and fit. It's not about having a 6-pack or giant biceps, whatever. Just, you need some kind of exercise. Your body needs it for your health. Forget the appearance part of working out. Like, just to be a healthy person, you need those processes. So again, like, if I were to say, like, 3 pillars of just daily health, you need water, sleep, and protein and veggies. So your diet, just start drinking water, a glass an hour. Start cutting out refined sugars, white sugars, and just add in a couple vegetables a day. Simple. Okay. You need a daily exercise routine. Set a timer for 20 minutes, 5 jumping jacks, 5 squats, 5 toe touches or in-outs, 5 mountain climbers, 5 push-ups. Do that as many times for 20 minutes, or, do 5 sets of 25 jumping jacks, 20 squats, 15 in-outs, 10 mountain climbers, 5 push-ups. Okay. And then the other thing would just be getting into therapy. Speaking with somebody. I know it seems heavy, but you can go once a week, once a month to start. Just talk with somebody. You would be astonished at what comes out just by taking that step, starting that process. It's a really great thing to do. So, I think we all need help. We all need something. We all need more. And if you have a feeling of being stagnant or lost or sad, or those three things will help in a massive way. It's not a cure-all, but it is as close to it as you're ever going to get. If you're constantly looking for other things outside and you're never feeling that fulfillment, please understand that it needs to start inside. And it's not a kind of weird mystic process. It can be very, very simple and direct and tangible. So you start with what you're eating, what you're putting into your body. It doesn't have to be crazy. Just start baby steps. And then what you're outputting is your exercise. And then something for your mind and your emotional state. And that's therapy of some sort. That's my recommendation. I'm smart as fuck. You should take it. And those are all things I do that have changed my life. You know, I come from, you know, a lot of neglect and trauma as a kid, and drug addiction. I had depression my entire life. I still do. It doesn't, because I do these things, it doesn't mean that everything's gone, at least for right now. Like, I'm still going through these. I recently have gone through a lot of shit, so it's there, but it's all manageable, and it's something that I've made massive strides forward in and progress in as a result of these three pillars, these tenets of nutrition, fitness, and communications, talking, therapy. So anyway, give it a shot. I think it'll help. Anyway, I got to get ready and go pick up my son, so I hope everybody's having a great day. Thanks for listening. Please rate and subscribe and review on iTunes. Subscribe and comment and like on YouTube. Ask me questions in the comments if you want, or hit me up on Twitter at Graham Baker, Instagram at Instagram Baker. My music is at Gray House Music. My website is grahambaker.com. John Wick is awesome. Yeah, and that's it. All right, guys, have a great day. Peace.